The other thing I want to say is what we're talking about, I can never talk about without thinking about Christian parenting. Because what greater goal for a Christian mom and dad to say we would love our home to be a tool of God's calling grace in our children. That means you can't just have law-based parenting where it's a set of regulations with a set of punishments. Mm-hmm. You're the cop, and you're the judge, and you're the jailer. Mm-hmm. Because if all your children needed was God's law, there would be no reason for the coming of Jesus. It wouldn't have been necessary.
Yep.
The other thing it does is it, rather than delivering your children from sin, it can make your children smarter sinners.
That's
because
true.
they learn the system.
Yep.
And they learn how to escape it.
Yep.
And they learn when they can get away with something and when they can't, and the kind of attitudes that sort of get you off their back. And I've had to say to parents of teenagers that I was counseling the whole family, I would say, I'm sorry to say this to you, but what you think is a growth in Christian maturity in your child, when I'm with him, that's not what I get.
It ain't happening. Yep.
This is a kid who's just gotten smart.
Yep.
And he knows how to work the system to his advantage.
Yep.
But why doesn't he like to participate in family worship?
Yep.
Why does he complain about going to youth group?
Yep.
Because he doesn't have a heart for these things.
Yep. Yep.
On the other hand, having your parenting shaped by this gospel of grace and looking at every opportunity to talk about hope is not found in our obedience. Mm-hmm. And I want to encourage parents to be transparent about their own need for God's grace. Yep. Your kids need to hear you confess. Yep. Some of the best moments with our children when we'd be at the dinner table and I'd say, I want to talk about last night. You guys were loud at the table and I got mad and I said things I shouldn't have said and I should never do that. Your dad still has sin inside of him, and please forgive me. I'm so thankful God has forgiven me. It's important to do that. But your hope is that you would be an instrument of God's grace in the life of your children, because grace has the power to deliver them. Grace has the power to transform them. Now, here's what the law can do. Law can expose sin. That's why we use rulers, because we can tell if things are the right size or too short or too long.
Yep.
We need that standard.
We need the measuring stick, yeah.
And the law gives us a wonderful guide for life. Mm-hmm. So it's not lawless parenting. I want to say one other thing, that grace parenting doesn't mean permissive parenting. Like just
let them do whatever they want.
Because the Trinity didn't look down at fallen humanity and say, let's just be nice and just let this go and let's just wrap our arms around them and call this nothing, or else Jesus wouldn't have had to die.
Yeah. So
you referenced this earlier. Grace never calls wrong right. Mm-hmm. If wrong were right, there'd be no need for grace. Mm-hmm. So I just want to encourage parents that what a powerful vehicle of calling a Christian family can be. But you must have a lifestyle that's formed by the redemptive story with your children. Yeah. And not just putting all your hope in. If we just have a good system of law and we enforce it well, our kids will be okay.